Welcome to Bothell Beat, a show about what's happening around the community of Bothell. I'm Joy Johnston, your host, and I'm here on Bothell's historic Main Street. We're going to be learning more about historic Main Street later in the show. We'll also learn about what to do with hazardous waste, and we'll sit down with Councilmember Andy Rayum to get to know him better. But first, would you know what to do in an emergency? Well, some of your friends and neighbors right here in Bothell do, as we'll learn in the next segment.
So CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team Training, and it's an 8-week program through the Bothell Fire Department that allows citizens to learn how to take care of themselves and their family in the event of a disaster. So the kind of skills that we teach during this class are disaster medical, which would be controlling bleeding, how to splint an injured body part, as well as how to triage in a mass casualty situation, search and rescue, which is very important to know how to identify damaged buildings and know what's safe to enter and what isn't. And they also learn a piece of disaster psychology and how to deal with kind of the mental portion of having to go through such a large event that's so difficult. So in a large disaster, it could be a couple of days before the fire department is able to get to particular places in the city, just due to impassable roads or possibly the overwhelming of all of our resources if it's the big event. And so if we know that people can take care of themselves and their neighbors, that really helps us a lot. The registration process is first come, first serve. So this is a really popular course. We are able to offer it once per year through the Bothell Fire Department, and so once we do send out the registration opening, it does usually fill up within a day or two. If you contact the Bothell Fire Department, you can be put on our notification list, and we will let you know when registration is open, because when it fills up so fast, it's important that you get the notification right away as soon as it becomes available. So for more information about the CERT program, people can contact myself or Lisa Allen, my partner, through the Public Education Office at the Fire Department. My phone number is 425-489-3364, or people can find us on the website.
Thanks to Bothell Fire and EMS for that great information. Like many cities, Bothell has a 7-member city council. I met with our newest city council member, Andy Rayum, recently to get to know him better. We're here at the park at Bothell Landing, and I'm here with Councilmember Andy Rayum, and we're going to get to know our council member better. Councilmember Rayum, thanks so much for meeting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So tell me, how long have you lived in Bothell?
I've lived in Bothell most of my life. I grew up here in the 70s and the 80s, and then I spent some time away in Edmonds and as well as Shoreline, but I moved back here to raise my family.
Great. And what inspired you to become a council member?
I got involved because I started to pay attention to the council meetings, and I went down and attended some meetings, and just got a fire in my belly to contribute and participate in the local government process.
So what issues are most important to you?
You know, the revitalization of downtown Bothell is obviously something that we've been working on for some time, and that is our priority issue to address. We have needs to continue funding things that aren't currently funded, to do our part as the city to encourage and make the downtown area a vibrant new redevelopment. Another one is to look at ways to improve our way of life. You know, we've had some time now where we haven't really worked on our right-of-ways, like striping and overlaying them, and maintaining our flower beds and our landscaped areas on the sides of the roads. And I've seen that throughout the city when I was doorbelling. So that was something that I still think that we could do better on as a city. The last thing is I would like to see more involvement of the public, especially in the budgeting process. We just went through a budgeting process, and it would have been great to hear more from the public about what they would like.
Okay, well, I'm sure being a council member keeps you very busy. What other things do you do outside of being a council member?
Well, I do have a full-time job on top of being a council member, so I do work a lot, and then in my free time, I spend most of it with my children and my wife. We do a lot of family things, like we go to the park regularly, and we just generally spend time together. When I'm not doing that and not working, I spend a lot of time mountain biking, just taking up snowboarding recently, and I like going backpacking and doing a lot of outdoor activities.
Well, great. Well, what are the things that you love most about Bothell?
One of the things I like most about Bothell is its hometown feel. It is my hometown, so it just naturally feels like a hometown to me, and I hear from a lot of people that's really important to them as well. I think Bothell is in a great location. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to redevelop the downtown area, and so I really look forward to that because our location is so key in the Northwest. It's a really nice location. It's near a lot of nice natural features as well as a lot of recreational activities that you can do in cities.
Well, what advice would you give to somebody who's interested in becoming more involved in the community?
There's a lot that people can do. I think if you want to be more involved in your local government, the best thing to do is to get involved in council meetings. What you can do is from your home, go online, look at the agenda, and it's a 2-page document that you can click on the topics in the document, and you can get all the information you want on those topics. But you can just briefly look at them just to see if there's any topics that are of an interest to you. The last thing I would recommend is to contact a council member and let them know if you're interested in a board or a commission. We have quite a few boards and commissions that people can serve on. Or if you're interested in running for city council as well, your council members are a great resource to find out how to do that.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Ian, for meeting with me today. It was great to get to know you better.
It was my pleasure.
And if you'd like to know more about the park at Bothell Landing, go to the city's website. Do you know what to do with household hazardous waste? We checked with the folks in Bothell's Public Works Department to find out.
Captain Hazard, the greatest hero of our time, protecting our natural environment from hazardous waste at every turn. It's the adventures of Captain Hazard.
Let's see here, I don't need some of this anymore. I'll just pour this down the drain.
Stop! I am Captain Hazard. Do not pour that down the drain. Take it to the waste mobile.
That's right, Captain Hazard. And I got this card about the waste mobile event this weekend. Let me see what else I can bring.
Good job.
Let me see what else I can bring. What did I do with that card? I can just look on their website to see what I can bring. Okay, oil, coolant, my brake fluid. It says I can't bring this latex paint. That's okay, it's water-based. I'll just put that down the storm drain.
Stop. Only rain down the drain.
I'll just dry this out later. I hate it when he does that. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, since you get a dog here, we can't take the dog inside with us.
Okay.
Because you have waste in the back of the vehicle, so we need you to remove the dog out and let the dog wait out here with somebody you came with, and then we'll process your stuff inside.
Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, a little bit more, sir, a little bit more. All right, you're good right there. One put in park, turn it off for me. Remain in the vehicle for your safety. And what we got for...
I've got this card from the city that said you guys had an event today I could bring waste to.
Yes, sir.
And I went online and checked to see what was okay to bring. So everything's in the back.
Okay, awesome. All right, remain in the vehicle and we'll get it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks to the Public Works Department, and especially to Captain Hazard for that useful information. I'm standing in front of the Hannon Building right here on Main Street, also known as the Ashlar Lodge. This building has a long history right here in Bothell, as we'll learn in the next segment.
The Hannon Building, now owned by the Bothell Masonic Lodge, on 101st Avenue Northeast and Main Street, holds within its walls over 100 years of Bothell history. Purchased in the late 1800s, the original wood building held a mercantile, newspaper, and post office, and the subsequent brick building has held everything from a drugstore to council meetings to a dentist's office to the Hillcrest Bakery. William H. Hannon was born in Pennsylvania in 1853 and came to Bothell in 1889. When he first arrived in Bothell, he did carpentry and worked in logging camps. In 1890, he bought a lot on Main Street from D.C. Bothell, where in 1893 he built the house that he and his family lived in until they died. Tax records show that in 1910 the total house value was $610. And that W.A. Hannon's property tax bill was $19.46. That house was eventually moved to the park at Bothell Landing and is now home to the Bothell Historic Museum. Shortly after the 1893 Depression, Hannon purchased the two-story building on Main Street, now known as the Hannon Building. On the ground floor, he operated a general store, selling items like groceries, dried goods, hardware, and boots. The upper floor was used for meetings. The post office operated out of the store from 1894 to 1898, during the administration of President Grover Cleveland. Bothell's first newspaper, the Bothell Independent, was published in an upstairs room beginning in 1903. After the fire of 1908 burned the wood frame building, W.A. Hannon built in its place the first brick structure in Bothell, known as Hannon Block. Later, he opened a store in the corner portion and named it Hannon Mercantile. Once a week, ice cream was sent out from Seattle after the stage system was started. W.A. Hannon sold the building a few years after the brick building was constructed and instead focused on his efforts on raising strawberries and raspberries. Harlan Rupp opened a drugstore in the adjoining storefront. The second floor provided space for the first professional offices in the city, including Bothell's first woman dentist, Dr. Emma Beddow. There was a meat market in the building, operated by Clark Ross from 1918 to 1919, followed by Mrs. Morrison's restaurant until the 1930s. It was also home to the first Bothell City Council meeting. For many years, Crawford's Rexall Drug Store occupied the corner site, followed by a camera store. Hillcrest Bakery also occupied the site from 1934 to 1949. This structure is much the same building, with some facade and doorway changes. Many of the details have been plastered over and original architectural elements removed or covered. The entire structure is owned by the Bothell Masons Ashlar Lodge number 121, which occupies the second floor. The ground floor is primarily occupied by retail establishments. For additional information about historical landmarks in the City of Bothell or to get involved in the Landmark Preservation Board, contact Bothell's Community Development Department at 425-486-8152 or at the email address on your screen.
Thanks to the Bothell Historical Museum and to the Landmark Preservation Board for that great information and photos on the Hannon Building. Bothell's Main Street really is a treasure. It's a great place for shopping and eating, whether during the holidays or at any time of the year. To learn more about things to do in Bothell, go to explorebothell.com. Or to learn about the City of Bothell, go to www.ci.bothell.wa.us. Thanks for watching. See you next time.